I know not all of you guys know what a Nintendo 64 DD is, so let me just explain it real fast. The DD stands for disk drive, and it was supposed to be an expansion to the Nintendo 64. It was even shown at E3 sometime during the 1990s, but it never made its way over to America because it was such a failure in Japan, and it was only released in Japan. The system is sort of rare. It's not rarer than Nintendo World Championships or anything like that. I mean, there's a couple thousand copies and whatnot, but it's rare in the sense that, well, one, it's only been released in Japan, and two, most people that have it, or like the original people that got it, only got it through a service called RandNet, and I think it was some sort of magazine subscription item or something. I don't know the exact details. So people sold them on eBay for pretty high prices, and I got mine for a high price as well, but I also got a lot of games with it. So like I said, the disk drive was supposed to be an expansion to the Nintendo 64. As a matter of fact, one of the released games for it is an expansion for F-Zero X, where you can make your own tracks and all that, and I'll show that game in a future video because I actually have it. Additionally, the system only has 9 games for it. Other games for it were either released for the Nintendo 64, were canceled entirely, or released on a completely different system. The system was a failure because the GameCube was coming out, and the system kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and Nintendo didn't want to cancel it, so they released it, and there's only 9 games for it, most of which are Mario painting games. Well, 4 of them anyway, but so it doesn't really have the best game library. I have 7 of the 9 games, and yeah. However, the F-Zero X expansion kit and SimCity 64 are 2 games for it, and those are actually pretty good games, from what I understand. I have yet to play them. Anything else I should address? Oh, so examples of games that were planned for the system, like Kirby 64 was going to be for the DD, but it eventually came to a cartridge. There was going to be a game called Fire Emblem 64 that hardly has anything known about it except that it was going to be a game. Never came to happen. Supposedly there was going to be a sequel to Super Mario 64. That never came to happen, and there's nothing known about it. There's going to be a game called Pokemon 64. Nothing was known about it. That may have become Pokemon Stadium. Who knows? Majora's Mask was originally going to be for the DD, but they released it as a 64 game. But there are other games like Earthbound 64 that were going to be released for the DD, but Earthbound 64 eventually became known as Mother 3. It was only released in Japan, and it was a Game Boy Advance game. Final Fantasy VII, for you Final Fantasy fans, was going to be on the DD, but because of the system's failure, Square Enix made it for Sony systems instead, and it never came to the Nintendo system. But and then there was a few other third parties. You can see a full list of games on Wikipedia. Most of the games hardly had any information about them except that they were in development. But anyway, I feel like that's a bit of introductory words. So now here's myself showing it off and whatnot. Enjoy. What I have here is one of the rarest Nintendo consoles ever created. It is the Nintendo 64 DD, and before I've already opened this box actually, but before I even show what it is for those that don't know, I shall explain that it goes at the bottom of a Nintendo 64. So like, there's always been this little thing at the bottom of Japanese and American 64s. I'd show you on that one, but that one's hooked up to the TV and everything. And it's usually been used to support poor third-party stuff, but the only first-party thing Nintendo used it for was for a poorly made expansion pack, the 64 DD. So, before I do anything more with that, I shall open this box, and if you have 4,500 yen, or like $800 or so, you too can get the rarest, or one of the rarest Nintendo consoles of all time, along with 7 of the 9 games available for it. So, I move this like right here. Alright, you can see my wonderful collection of plushies. So, aside from all this wrapping paper, we have the actual system right here. And this actually weighs more than an actual Nintendo 64. There's my Nintendo 64. Here's the system. It's quite big, as you can see. And plugs into the bottom. That's upside down. This is the Nintendo 64 DD, and it goes into the bottom. Let me figure this out. Alright. So, there we go. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but there you go. Now it's stacked nice and neat. On the bottom are little hinges that you turn in. Just lock it. Alright, so this way is to lock it. Alright, that's tight. And then this way we'll lock it. I love it when instructions are so simple. And then I think that's tight. Alright, so that's the system right there with the 64 DD on bottom. In addition to the system itself, or not the system itself, but in addition to the 64 DD, I got games and accessories for it. And then here's more showing how much it was. Anyway, yeah, I got this thing. This little cartridge would allow you to record to VHS tapes. You stick it here on the top. Ah, man, I miss cartridges. Stick it right here on the top, and you would be able to record to your VHS using the AV ports on the back. As for the games, yeah. And then one of these games is, this one, is the Ransnet starter package thing, because before you could transfer pictures to your friends over the internet through this device, through a service called RANnet. So you have this game, or RANnet, or whatever. Put it here when I'm done with it. You've got Doshin No Giant, which was later recreated for the GameCube. The F-Zero X expansion kit, which you could use to make your own tracks in F-Zero X. I actually don't have a Japanese copy of F-Zero X though, so I have to buy that separately. But that's always cool. SimCity 64, which was developed by HAL Laboratory, and this character appears in Super Smash Bros. Brawl as an assist trophy. And then I have the 4 Mario Artist games on it. So like, this one is Mario Artist Talent Studio. This one is Mario Artist Paint Studio. I actually have 2 copies of that, not in this package, but this one is Mario Artist Polygon Studio. And this one is Mario Artist... I don't remember, but like you could take all your data together and do something with it. I forget the exact name of it. So the only 2 games I'm missing are Japan Pro Golf Tour 64, which was a moderately decent game, and Doshin No Giant 2. And then I got a mouse. Mouse plugs into the controller port, and I've got a microphone, so I can play 2 of the Mario Artist games. And then yeah, and the discs, I guess I'll just use a Mario Artist game right here. The discs aren't optical discs like you would expect. They are like a floppy disk minus the floppiness, and you put them in here. And some of them actually do have, well, hang on, then you can eject the game. Woo! Some of them actually do have side labels, not all of them, and I don't know if that's just how it arrived or what. I don't know if that was because this was previously owned by somebody and he made his own ones, but either way, side labels are cool. And now I shall proceed to make some actual gameplay videos. Enjoy.